What's up, everybody? Want to welcome you to Lowriding with Lloyd. This is my 4th episode with Brian Scotto from the Hoonigan team. We're over here in Compton.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So everybody knows the Hoonigans is Long Beach because they had the facility under the bridge. But tell us about moving over here to Compton.
So we moved to Long Beach like 6 years ago. We were in downtown LA for a while. Moved to Long Beach, got a really nice spot. We loved it. It was great, but we're kind of known for making noise, doing burnouts, doing stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
We may or may not have pissed off all of the neighbors.
I can imagine.
And it was like a 3-year fight, and we finally lost the fight. Like, I had to go sit in front of city council and be like, nah, but burnouts are for the kids.
Oh,
it's
really?
Good. It's good, you know? And we actually worked with, like, Edison Elementary, and the kids would come by and love that. And people would be like, you're right next to a school. And like, nah, the school loves us. It's the neighbors that care because they're just mad we're making noise. But so anyway, it was one of those things. And I get it, right? Like, I don't know, actually, if people were doing burnouts on my house, I'd probably be okay with it. But
yeah, me too.
A little bit different. But so we were looking for different places, and pandemic hit, and a bunch of real estate came up. So we found the spot in Compton. And like, this is like, it's basically Long Beach. So
yeah.
Like, I live in Long Beach, and like I'm like 6 minutes from here. So it's like you just
we're
cross
neighbors.
over the river, and it's right there. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we doubled the spot. We went from a spot that was like 15,000 square feet, and this one's like 30,000. But the cool thing is that it has this massive yard, as you guys just got to play in.
Yeah.
So we could do like car events here, we could actually drift a lot, like have burnout contests, like do all that stuff, and nobody cares.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Over here in the industrial area.
Yeah.
So you and I met kind of organically. We did a video or commercial together that hasn't released yet, but should be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of led me a helping hand, and I had some issues with my 1961 Impala, the To Live and Die in LA car. You guys brought it into the garage, helped me get that thing tuned up, which now it's running pretty nice. A few more small bugs.
Sorry we had it for so long.
It's okay. I'm happy
with
it.
Lloyd, you dropped the car off just as we were like moving. So it was like, I'm just happy that it didn't like end up getting like crashed into.
Yeah, me too. Jesus Christ.
The whole time, because you see how the things that go on here. So
absolutely.
Everyone was always like, we were so stoked for it to leave just because it was like,
too much responsibility.
Because that's a piece of history right there. So.
It is. I just treat it like a street car. I mean, I love it, but I want it to be out there so everyone can see it. I enjoy it. I want everyone else to still get to enjoy it. I had an option to put it into a museum, but it was going to sit for like a year and a half. There's no way I wanted to be away from my car that long. So
I don't feel like cars belong in museums.
Me neither. No. So you hooked me up with the Megan Thee Stallion video. We did that with Bankroll Freddie and Donk Master. Sage, super cool dude, man. I got to get him on.
Sage is a great dude. It's funny because I don't know if I'm going to just like put him on blast, but Sage is like the biggest shit talker.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
but in person,
sure.
He's the chillest dude. But
super
the minute
cool.
the camera turns on, he just turns the shit talk all the way up to 11.
I mean, that's what you got to do. Yeah. Sometimes I catch myself doing the same thing. So you're all building a donk yourself, right?
Yep. So
Tell me a little about it.
So some background on it. My previous life before Hoonigan, I worked in magazines. So I worked for Mass Appeal. I worked at Complex, Double XL, but I worked for a magazine called Rides, which was basically the automotive version of King magazine at the time. So like growing up in New York City, like being around just kind of street culture, graffiti and all that, like I got into that space, but I knew cars, so like kind of that whole thing connected. And during that time in like 2003, we started to see like the donk culture kind of really brewing out of Miami, right? Like you're starting to see a lot of cars down there. So I went down there to do a story on it, and it was just like, it was something we'd never seen before, right? I mean, I think in some ways, like the donk culture is kind of similar to lowriders because it was like taking older cars that at a certain point people didn't care that much about, right? Like they were kind of forgotten. I mean, nowadays that's not true, right? Like buying a 6.4 is not easy.
No, it's not.
But like back in the day, buying like a 71 Impala was pretty cheap, right?
$100.
Yeah, and like that's what these guys were building box Chevys or bubble Chevys, right? And it was just this cool thing because at the time in hip hop, everybody was building like really expensive cars, right? Like rappers were talking about Bentleys, and they were talking about like the easiest entry vehicle was an Escalade, which was still like, when you put wheels on it, do interior, do a bunch of stuff, some paint, you already had $100,000 car.
Absolutely.
So like the price of entry was really high, but guys were going out and getting box Chevys off their grandmas, throwing 24s and belonging. So to me as a kid who like, I grew up in like Euro scene car culture. You can go buy like a $300 Volkswagen and put a set of BBS on it, slam it, and you look cool, right?
Absolutely. I think that's still cool.
So I love the donk culture for that because it felt like it was this thing in like the hip hop car culture that was just like more inclusive, right?
Right, no, for sure.
And obviously it eventually got to the point that people were building $500,000 donks, right? And that's where it always goes.
Sage.
But you can build shit that still kind of gets you. You can still go and roll with your friends and like you belong, right?
Absolutely.
So, and it started in Miami, and then we started seeing like got really big in Georgia. Next thing you know, we're in like Chicago shooting stuff, Indy, Vegas. It was just kind of like blowing up over those 2 years, and we ended up launching a magazine called Donk Magazine. And it was Donk Box.
Way.
Yeah, it was called Donk Box and Bubble. And it was a spin-off of Ride Magazine just because it was so successful. Like that one issue of Rides we did just crushed. And before that, like to be quite honest, we either did like high-end cars or like brand new cars or lowriders. Like that was all that was in it. But to be quite honest, Lowrider Magazine like owned the lowrider culture. So for us, like when the Donk thing came out in the magazine business, it was like, hey, this is something cool. No one's really talking about it. So anyway, that's 2004, 2005. And I end up leaving there in 2010.
We got one of the
That's
boys.
That's one of your boys.
Yeah, that's one of mine.
But that is like appropriate Hoonigan ambiance. Just the sound of engines and tires squealing. So fast forward and like at the time, like I'll always admit like I was there for the whole Donk culture, but like it wasn't my thing. I was just there like reporting on what other people were doing, but it left me that taste. Like I just always thought about the cars, and I always had this particular image of what I wanted to build, and I wanted to build a really kind of clean car, but with just this massive fuck off engine in it.
Right.
Just something that's just like so angry looking and like comes through the hood, just kind of mixing those two cultures, like mixing that like Australian burnout kind of culture with the Donk culture.
Right.
And last year, the pandemic hit, we got this opportunity. It was sponsored by eBay because eBay was like, hey, here's some money, go build a car.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
just the whole thing was we had to buy the parts off of eBay, which was like super easy.
For sure.
So I found that 71 Donk. It was on eBay. It was up in Sacramento area, like sitting in some old man's backyard. It was like second owner car.
Wow.
And
nice.
it was pretty clean. It was like ugly. It was like this like ugly brown color, but it was the perfect car to kind of like tear apart. And anyway, we got into it, and then and now we've got like a almost 1,000 horsepower Donk, and that's just phase one. Like it should make 1,300 horse.
Really?
So
what end did you put in there?
so it's a 540 cubic inch blueprint crate motor.
Okay.
And it has a 871 blower on it from the blower shop. They're the ones that make the real nice chrome ones.
Right.
And then, which is like that blower is like the same blower that they ran on hot rods back in like the 40s and 50s. Like
it looks so sick.
The actual technology is off of like diesel engines from like the 30s. So anyway, that but like it just looks the classic piece. It's not the most efficient thing, but it sounds right. It has that like blower surge. It's like
I can't wait till it's ready
that
to
part's
race.
just crazy. And and then it's got like Holley, it's got like a Holley EFI setup on it, and it's probably got like probably end up running like a 200 to 300 shot of nitrous. So like all said and done, she's 1,500 plus.
Nice.
So, that being said, I don't even know if it'll run down Donk Master. Like to be quite honest,
I mean, it'd be fun.
Sage got like 1,800. I don't know how he gets it to stick. Like we drove it over here from Long Beach. Like that was the last thing I wanted to do was like, okay, the building was empty. I had to drive the Donk over. And we drove it over, and it was just wild driving it over. Like everybody on the road looks like. I know you probably get that with this.
Yeah,
it's just
no,
like
for sure.
But like
thumbs up.
people see that, and it's just like, what? The best thing, we were driving by, and some guy was in his house, and he was like, "Oh fuck, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I can't get a photo. I need to get a photo of this thing." And like he's just yelling and screaming like out of his house, like, "What the hell?" Because it's just like people just don't see it. The thing I say about that car is like, I don't care what you think about it. Some people don't like the big rim stuff, but if that doesn't make you smile, like you numb inside.
No, after going to the Donk race with you guys, I'm hooked. I love it myself.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite that's come through the Hoonigans? A favorite car, favorite truck?
Man, that's tough. We've had like there's been just like such a wide mix of things. Like there's this guy, TJ Russell, he builds like really just crazy cars, and he built this old, I want to say it was like a 28 or 29 Plymouth, and it was just like this perfect hot rod. Like one of those cars where like every little piece was just perfect on it, right? And I like old traditional hot rods. Like that's like a thing I'm super into. But this car was just like, it was like a fabricator's like dream. And he was done showing it to us, and like it looked like a show car.
Right.
And I was like, cool. And I jokingly was like, so we gonna see some burnouts? And normally with a car like that, they're like, oh, nah, you know, they make all the excuses. And he was like, yeah, of course, that's why I came here. And just started throwing donuts. And like, we were all like screaming because we thought he was going to crash the car. And like to see someone build something like that, that's like literally belongs in a museum.
For sure.
But then they drive the living shit out of it. Like that just makes me happy.
First burnout for the 61 Impala was today here.
I know. I was pretty impressed and pretty excited to see that.
Me too, man.
It's in the air. You just get here and like the pressure. We call it scumbagging.
Yeah.
Because we make you feel like you can do it. Like you can do this. Yeah, you got this. You got this. So
my favorite actually of all the Hoonigan cars is the panel van.
Oh yeah, that thing's fresh. I
love that damn thing. It's one of my favorites. I've always loved those.
So you don't hate it that it's on air? Would you rather it be on Juice?
I would probably rather it be on Juice for sure. If it was mine Juice, of course.
Yeah,
I'd probably add a little candy shell to it. But I just love the whole character of that panel van. It's really cool.
It's quick too.
It is, man. We actually remember.
Yeah.
Raced
You were there. We
race.
beat that Mustang.
Yeah, we did.
I kind of felt bad that we beat up on this dude. This guy, he was running all day long. He was like the most consistent guy, and we knew his time. We knew we were faster, so we staged a race. We knew he could win.
He said his wife actually worked in like the concessions or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said I talked to him earlier. He said he just comes out there and runs it to have fun. His wife works there, and he just gets to run it all day.
He must have got like 60 runs in that. That man got his money's worth that day.
I feel like was it a V8?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think he had like some kind of souped up V6 in there or anything, something like that.
No, but that thing's fun. It's 1969. We actually bought it at the Pomona swap meet, and it was just like
Van 69.
Yeah, and it was just like a partial project, and then we finished the whole thing up. So.
I really like that thing.
Yeah.
So what's the background on the Hoonigan?
All right, so quick background. I'll try to tell us quick. By the way, I talk a lot.
That's fine. Help yourself.
Yeah. So, quick background is I met Ken Block 2005 working at Rides Magazine. We started working together on different stuff, and we just felt like there wasn't a brand. Like he started DC Shoe Company. He ran DC, and that became like this really important thing in skate culture, snowboard culture, right?
Huge.
And like for me, growing up as a kid, I grew up in New York City, and I grew up with like all these brands kind of identified who you were, right? Like clothing brands or whatever it was. And I grew up skateboarding, like listening to hip hop and punk rock. So like I was always wearing that shirt that identified who I was. But I felt like in car culture, like that didn't really exist, right? Like maybe it was like a brand of parts or something like that. Like maybe you wear like a Dayton Wire Wheel shirt or something like that. But there wasn't this brand that said like this identifies me as a specific kind of thing in the culture. And like we just felt like there like like everyone in the automotive space is united with like fucking around, doing burnouts, having fun. All right, like doesn't matter if you're driving a Chevy, a Ford, a Mitsubishi, a Toyota, a BMW. Like that's just the fun part of it. And so there was this word that was kind of moving around in Australia at the time, which is the word hoon, and it's kind of like a negative word there, right? Like, oh, that damn hoon, right? Yeah. Someone's like revving their engine or doing burnouts, and we just kind of put that with the word hooligan. So it was like Hoonigan, and it kind of stuck. And like I was at a magazine, and we used to use the word hoon a little bit, just kind of jokingly. And Ken liked it, and we just were like, hey, it'd be cool to start a brand that was like what skateboard brands were for skating, but like for car culture. Like it didn't have to be like a racing brand or like a parts brand. Like it just was like a culture brand. Like, hey, we like cars, you like cars. This is that shirt you wear, and I hear it from people all the time where they'll be like, yo, I walked into a bar, I was wearing a Hoonigan shirt. This dude came up to me, like now we're homies because like that was that connection there kind of thing. You know? And that's what we always wanted the brand to be. So.
I actually met a family and their daughter had a Hoonigan hoodie on when I went and flew back to Texas to see my mom.
Oh, really?
Like, hey, she's like, oh, my cousin gave me this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I told him that actually at the time I think you guys still had my 61, so I'm like, yeah, my 61 Impala, this car is over there now.
Yeah, man. So it's been cool. I mean, it's this is our 10-year anniversary this year, so we've been doing it for 10 years, and it's just like it just keeps getting bigger. And like for us, it's just like we keep expanding. Like a lot of the guys here into different stuff. Some guys are just into drifting, some guys are just into racing. But for me, I just love like all different parts of car culture, right? So like it doesn't matter if it's like new school, old school, like racing, just show cars, just kind of a mix of everything. So like as Hoonigan grows, it's just like we just keep doing more and more and more stuff. That's why I was stoked to have you guys come out here, because like a lot of these dudes have never even really been near lowriders. It's like to be quite honest, like I feel like lowrider culture doesn't really like crossover that much with like drifting or like
Yeah,
even kind of like other show car stuff, you know. It's like even the classic car culture, it's like I think lowriding, especially in California, is such a big scene that you guys have your own scene, so you don't really need to be a part of the other thing.
But
and
I don't like have anything against any other scene.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just that I just stick to mine because it's always lowriders. You know, sometimes I'll go to some, and I might be the only lowrider, and I don't feel like it's as welcoming.
yeah,
You know,
I can feel that.
I like feel it. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I just kind of stick with lowriders normally.
So it's actually funny because I just had this conversation. So I grew up on Volkswagens. That was like my first thing I was really into, like water cooled Volkswagens. And I was trying to, one of Ron, who you know, we were just with some Volkswagen kids I've known for years. And he's like, man, he's like, I feel like I got into the wrong cars when I was a kid. He's like, you guys all really seem really tight, right? Like it's real like family like. And I said, you know, I grew up in that culture, but I've obviously been around a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, the only other thing that I've been around that feels similar to it is the lowriding scene, like where car clubs feel like family. And like the joke we used to have at Auto Creek, like Auto Creek was my car club. It was like a Volkswagen car club. And the tagline for it was the family your parents didn't give you.
Yeah.
And like, yo, and
cool,
and when I got married, 4 of those dudes 10 years later stood next to me when I got married, right? Like we still friends, and we became friends through cars, stayed friends through cars, right? And like, you know, and I think that that's one of those things that, you know, it's cool when you belong to like a car culture group where like it just becomes that family thing, right? And I can see it when you guys all fucking around, because you guys are like how all of us are. Like we all, you know, we all work together, but we're also all like good friends, and like, and we know each other well. We bust each other balls. Like that's all kind of part of it, but we're also got everybody's back kind of thing. And I think because of that, like the lowrider scene has always sort of been just like its own thing, because it didn't really kind of need other people. And I think that was sort of like how the Volkswagen scene was for me growing up. Like there was Honda kids and there was Toyota kids, and and BMW kids. We didn't really mess with them. We just kind of like did our own thing. And like, and still to this day, like, you know, I have kids who I met when I was 19 years old. I'm 41 now, and like we're still friends. And they lived on the other side of the country, and we were just sending photos of cars back and forth.
It's funny because some of the people you never would have approached you, and you never would have approached, and then you build that relationship. That's what I love about car clubs, because there's some people I know probably would have never talked to someone like you. You know what I mean? And I've become really good friends with them. I mean, I have, you know, everyone has, you know, some people are cool with you, some people aren't. You know, it just depends on the presence, but. I've made a lot of good friends that way. Some people I consider as good as family. So what kind of advice would you have for somebody wanting to get into building cars?
Just buy something and start building it. I actually I wish I got into like more like heavy fabricating and building cars when I was younger. I didn't really start heavy into that like 5 years ago, but I was one of those kids who didn't have enough money to build the cars other people were building.
Me too.
So
Me too.
I bought, you know, like an old Volkswagen. I just kind of like learned it. And to be quite honest, I took it apart and then had a really hard time putting it back together. And that's kind of how you learn, and find someone else who knows what they're doing and hang out with them.
Right.
Because like knowledge is the best thing to learn from other people, you know? And so,
I agree.
Although nowadays, man, you can watch YouTube videos and learn stuff. So
I couldn't have done mine without a team. Definitely not.
And it also makes it way more fun.
It does. It definitely does. You hear the pill outs in the background.
Yeah.
We don't even need sound effects.
That's just constant here. That's just the sound. That's the soundtrack here.
So as far as the Hoonigans go, what's in the future for the Hoonigans?
Taking over the world. You know, continuing to do what we're doing. Obviously, we got big videos. We do the Gymkhana films. Ken, Travis. We're going to kind of continue to expand that. Got our eyes on maybe doing some like bigger content stuff, whether that's TVs or movie stuff. That's kind of what I always wanted to do, like a dope feature film for cars.
Actually, because
honestly, like I love Fast and Furious for what it is, but I also hate Fast and Furious for what it is. Right?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So like doing something like that, I think would be really cool. But then like on the real close proximity thing, now that we got this new location, like we want to start doing like monthly car events here, kind of like bring all those different cultures together, stuff like that. I told you. We should definitely have like a lowrider hop off day here.
I'm ready.
So you guys see the room we got, you know you guys can play here, and
no one to bother us.
No, trust me, the cops come here and they just park the cars and come and watch.
Nice.
Yeah, they're the sheriff's department here are all drag racers. So
really?
They're super
I need to move to Compton. It sounds like.
So I live in Long Beach. You just cross the street. It's real easy.
It is. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I come over here, but lately in Long Beach they've been sweating us a little bit harder.
Well, now they got that no cruising rule on Ocean, which is kind of tough.
Do they?
Yeah.
On Long Beach?
On Ocean Boulevard, there's a no cruising rule. I think Ocean and Shoreline have no cruising rule, which means if you pass the same location in under an hour, you can get a ticket.
Oh, we'll tear those signs down. That's not staying now. We can't do that.
That's the dumbest stuff.
It is really because we're not doing anything. We're just having fun. I mean, our
It's
cars
not
don't
like
even,
there's a ton of shit going on Ocean.
Really?
Like, no shit on downtown Long Beach, but it's not like it's that popping.
no. And you meet a lot of people. I mean, I like going down to the beach, meeting a bunch of strangers. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a series of words. There's 4 words. You just tell me what comes to mind as soon as I say it. Tires.
Smoke.
Speed.
More.
Life.
Joy.
Legacy. It's a hard one. Deep.
Yeah. I'm trying to put it in 1 word, not 2 words.
Make it as many as you want. It's all right.
Leave one.
Yeah. All right. So we're wrapping up with Brian Scotto, episode 4. Thank you for coming to visit Lowriding with Lloyd. Another day, another Impala. I'll see you guys soon.